Hello, everyone, and welcome to International Coaches Club, the podcast where international coaches share their stories and how they've made an impact on their sport in the US, from college programs to professional and national teams. I'm your host, Liran Zamir. He played professional volleyball in Brazil until 2000, when he started his coaching career. He gained success in different clubs and universities until he moved to coach in the US at Western Nebraska Community College as an assistant coach. With him, the program won a national championship in 2010. From there, he moved to Cal State Bakersfield to coach both indoor and beach. He was a part of two Western Athletic Conference championships and two NCAA tournament appearances in 2014 and 2017. He became the winningest coach in Cal State Bakersfield Beach Volleyball history. The success led LMU coach John Mayer to announce him as a member of the Lions coaching staff in 2023. He spent 2 seasons in LA and helped the program get all the way to the NCAA National Championship match. Now, he's the head coach of Florida Southwestern, which he led to a national runner-up achievement in his first year. In his career, he was also a head coach of the National Team Development Program and mentored thousands of coaches through clinics and is mentoring young Brazilian coaches to gain success. A native Sao Paulo, Brazil, Cesar Benatti is my guest today. Hello, Cesar, and welcome to my podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Liran, for inviting me. It's always good to see people doing this kind of work. I do it myself, so I know how hard it is to manage this kind of project. And it's great to give voice to our community of coaches, international coaches. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wanted to ask, firstly, what stood out the most from the introduction?
Well, just to look back in my history and say, wow, man, I've done a lot of things already, a lot of cool things. I've met many great people along the way, and it brings me back to great memories, and I always say that our path is all about people, and the things that stands out the most for me, it's always remembering the people that were with me in this journey.
That's wonderful. Awesome, man. So I want to go straight to your volleyball world career. Brazil is a volleyball country, and I just was wondering what drew you to volleyball in the first place. First of all, as a player, correct, and then coaching.
Yes, I grew up in São Paulo, which is a big, big city in Brazil, and my family has a beach house nearby, like 2 hours from the city of São Paulo. So I would go every summer to that beach, and when I was young, I remember people playing on the beach, playing beach volleyball, and a group of older people playing the sport, and I was fascinated about those people playing. I would always go there and shag balls for them.
Hmm.
Eventually, they would let me serve one or two balls, and I had a little plastic ball, those beach balls that I would go after people left the court. I would go by myself and serve, and bump and just play around on the court. And then at some point, my one of my good friends, he had a pop-up net, one of those pop-up nets that you put on the park, but we would set up on the beach and we started playing, and I became better than everybody else. I was the youngest one there among all the people that played with my group, and I became pretty good. And eventually, I got better than everybody else, and I was like, "Well, I have to invest in this career." And
Yeah.
one of the guys that used to promote all the little tournaments at that beach, he was a PE teacher, and he told my mother, just take him to a club in São Paulo and have him try out for the big clubs. And I did, and I eventually started playing a little more serious, train every day, got to the professional level. Uh, but then eventually my love for playing kind of faded out a little bit, and my love for coaching started appearing inside of me. So I went to physical education college, did all my graduation there, started coaching, and then I developed as a volleyball coach.
That's very cool. You know, there's every person, every coach has a moment they realize they want to be a
Mhm.
coach. For me, when I played, I also played in Israel, and then I was assigned to coach like a one of the younger teams, maybe a high school team, and we gained a lot of success. And then that success made me think, huh, maybe I'm good at it, right? And we can try like
Mhm.
maybe coaching. So, was there a moment for you that you decided, okay, I want to be a coach. I want to leave the playing part of this world and inspire other athletes?
Yeah, I didn't have great coaches, to be honest. I'm all of the experiences that I had with the guys that coached me were not very positive. They're
Hmm.
great people, but they didn't have great methods. They didn't have the greatest behaviors, I would say. So at some point, I said, "Well, I have a chance to coach people and be the coach that I didn't have." So that was my initial drive. My initial drive was to be someone that I didn't have. So, but then I started coaching, and I was like, "Wow, there's way more to it. It's not just throwing balls here and there and telling them where to go, but there's way more science behind it." And I've always liked to study. And
Hmm.
as I progressed in my career, I started studying, and not just the X's and O's of the game, but all human behaviors and all of the things that are part of our profession. And it's not necessarily just volleyball on the court. And then I never stopped. And to this, and my career got to a point that I started coaching coaches. So
Right.
that's when I dove like really deep into volleyball coaching, and I'm still doing this. I'm still in that process, and probably never gonna end.
That's very cool, man, that you didn't have a great experience and not only that drove you to be a coach, but to coach coaches how to become better
Mhm.
mentors. That's
Yeah.
really inspiring. It's really cool. But was there still, Brazil is full of great coaches. Was there
Mhm.
anyone or is someone in Brazil that shaped your philosophy a little bit?
Uh, well, we were pretty spoiled in Brazil that we have Bernardinho and we have Zé Alberto, who for me and for almost every Brazilian are the two best in the world. And they have been the best for many, many years, the best in the history, maybe. So we grew up as players and as coaches watching those guys doing their work. And of course, they were an inspiration from the beginning, and they still are. I'm lucky enough to have a relationship with them. Not very close, but I from time to time I talk to them and I bounce off some ideas. But I also had great friends that helped me through my journey that became great coaches. I have many coaches. Like I have two of my best friends coaching for the Cameroon national team for the
Cameroon.
yeah.
Nice.
So Paulo Milagres and Luis Fernando Domingos, they're great friends, and all the people that worked with me in the clubs that I worked in Brazil were great influence. You know, when I started doing this coaching education project, I kind of got access to people that I never imagined I could. And those people became great influences for me as well. People that are coaching Brazilian national teams, other international national teams. So it's as I progressed in my career, my web of people became bigger and stronger. And today I have access to people that shape my coaching philosophy on a daily basis. But at the beginning, Bernardinho and Albert were the main inspirations for sure.
Very good. That's really cool. So you started coaching in Brazil. You were coaching
Mhm.
clubs, but also universities.
Yes.
Now, the university college experience in the United States is completely different than anywhere else in the world.
Mhm.
It kind of prepares the athletes to the professional world with the crowd and the facilities, amenities, and the
Yeah.
student athlete experience and so on. So, can you share about the differences between the student athlete experience in Brazil in
Mhm.
universities compared to the American one?
Yeah, so in Brazil, it's way more club. The system is different. So club in Brazil is it's just like Europe, for example.
Hmm.
And the clubs are where people become players, become professional players.
Hmm.
And here in the US, you go through, it's all attached to the education. So from high school, of course, club is a different environment, but there's two students and they strive to be in college. So they have the opportunity to progress as a volleyball player, also progressing in their education path. In Brazil, it's all club, and eventually people become professionals. Even the juniors teams, some teams are super, super strong, and they operate just like a professional team.
Hmm.
So it's a different mindset to start already because of the system that Brazil has. One big characteristic of Brazilians, they're way more organic. Their personal relationship is way more organic than here. It's we Brazilian people, we like to hug, we like to touch each other,
Hmm.
we kiss each other on the cheek, which is still completely normal in Brazil. So the human relationships are closer as it is, as like a cultural thing. In the United States, no, you're a little more hard, and you have to be really careful with how you interact with the girls, especially girls, of course,
Of course.
and respect their space and all of that. Okay. On the other hand, um, here in the U.S., it's way more systematic. It's way uh, more discipline. The structure is way more professional. There's systems and processes for everything that you do. You have to report everything. And in Brazil, you don't necessarily have to do all those kind of things. It's
Hmm.
becoming better. And planning as well, everything that comes with the discipline part of the work in Brazil tends to be a little more loose, and here it's a little more strict. And that reflects on the relationships that we have with the players, with the staff, and all of that. So there's a lot to learn with both sides. So what I try to do is to kind of combine both sides, try to get my players and the people that work with me to be a little closer, to be a little more warm with them. Of course, respecting the boundaries, but get
Hmm.
them a little more towards the Brazilian side, and especially when I started coaching coaches in Brazil, I presented them the ideas of systems, of planning, of being a little more disciplined, because that can help as well. So, in my view, the combination of both worlds will be the perfect scenario, at least for me. And of course, there's a lot to learn with both sides. But basically, I think those are the main differences from both countries.
That's very cool. I just finished my book, and in one of the chapters, I write about how accent is your advantage and
Mhm.
not something that holds you back. And by
Mhm.
accent, it's an analogy for like also a culture, background, history. So the fact that you can bring
Definitely.
that and try to still uh, implement that in your coaching philosophy, although it's the U.S. It's wonderful, and I'm sure you gained a lot of success. But I did want to touch on your coaching career, your early coaching career in the U.S. So you moved from the community college where you coached in that was Nebraska. Yes, Nebraska.
Western Nebraska Community
Yes,
College.
and you transferred and you took the head coach position, started an assistant at Bakersfield, California, to be indoor and beach.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you started playing at the beach,
Mhm.
but you also mentioned off camera that you like the indoor environment.
Mhm.
So what do you think were the main differences, are the main differences, and for you specifically, what drew you to one thing or another?
Yeah. So after I left Nebraska. I actually went back to Brazil. Was there for a couple of years,
Hmm.
and then came back to Bakersfield. And even though I started playing volleyball at the beach, I never actually trained on the beach. I would just play for fun. And I would play tournaments, of course, but never actually trained on the beach. I trained indoor. I was a professional athlete just on the indoor side. And when I started coaching, I was coaching just indoor. I never had any experience coaching beach. And when I got to Bakersfield, the beach program was there already running. I was like, man, that's a great opportunity for me to learn something new, you
Hmm.
know. And I was coaching. My main job was with the indoor team, and at that point, Bakersfield had a beach program, but all the indoor players were crossing over and playing beach as well, which was pretty common in the beginning of NCAA beach volleyball. Almost every program had crossover athletes, and
Hmm.
that was the way it worked at that time. And then so I did indoor in the fall and beach in the spring. And I was still recruiting for indoor, doing all the uh, at that time we didn't train indoor because all the players were training beach,
Hmm.
but I was still planning and recruiting for indoor. But I was also learning a lot about the beach game. And when I got there, the head coach for the beach program was Olivia Simcoe, and she had experience in the AVP. She was awesome. She's a nice lady. She taught me a lot, and I started liking it. And then eventually, she had her second kid and resigned, and the position was open. And at that time, Giovanna Mello, she's currently at University of Oregon as the associate head coach, but she was the director of volleyball. So she was the head coach for the indoor program
Hmm.
and was overseeing both programs, indoor and beach. And then she named me the head coach for the beach program. And eventually the program was growing. We're recruiting more beach volleyball players, and eventually we split right after the
Hmm.
pandemic was split, and I took over just for beach volleyball, and I started working with the USA national team as well on the beach side. So it kind of my career led me to beach volleyball, but I never actually left the indoor program. I've always
Hmm.
studied, especially with my coaching education project. I would do it just for indoor. I never left it, never left. And then when I made the decision to go back to come to Florida, it was for the indoor program, and
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, it's a good chance for me to go back to indoor, which is something that I really, really love. But beach has a really, really special place in my heart. I really love the beach game. I met amazing people. My experience with beach volleyball was the best possible. It was super, super awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So I want to touch a little bit about the cultural aspect of the game.
Mhm.
Coming from Brazil,
Yeah.
what's one thing American coaches kind of misunderstand about the Brazilian volleyball culture and players, by the way? Like if you're trying to implement different things from home or talk to other coaches about it, what's the main thing that you kind of mismatch?
Well, Brazilians are very emotional. We
Passionate.
passionate, yeah, emotional, and there's a lot of emotion, a lot of intensity in terms of behaviors, in terms of demonstrating those behaviors on and off the court. So I think if I would give someone a recommendation or a tip as an American coach to coach a Brazilian, it's to understand that those emotions will appear.
Hmm.
No, you're never gonna see, not never, but it's hard to see a Brazilian player that is super even keeled and collected and cold. No, we're passionate. We're always gonna be screaming and sometimes crying, you know, and celebrating. We're super, super this way. I think this is the most important thing. And a little bit in undisciplined until the Brazilian player understands the discipline side of it. It takes a while, and I would recommend to be patient with Brazilians as well in that
Definitely.
sense. Yeah,
Okay. Awesome.
but
And
I mean,
yes, go
we
ahead.
we bring that we bring that in people that are not this way. We kind of it's a balance, you know. It's something that Brazilians can drive out of. some other people to be more passionate, be more intense in terms of behaviors.
Very good. And um, the U.S. the collegiate system is full of Brazilian coaches,
Yeah,
which is fantastic. I think maybe the highest number of international coaches in the collegiate world is from Brazil. From just from overview, without going into details too much, but
most likely.
yes. And what do you think? One thing Brazilian coaches need to learn about the American culture, other than the fact that they're a little bit distant, and what is another thing that if a coach would have come to the U.S., they need to learn right away?
Well, there's discipline. Like I think discipline is a big word for us, the Brazilians. The fact that we don't have a lot of systems and processes in place in the reality that we work in Brazil. Brazilians tend to skip some steps, not follow some rules, basically, but not because we want to break the rules or anything, but because we are not used to follow processes and like make reports and do all the steps that you have to do in order to be part of the system here and like follow the right time, be on time, be respectful of the other one's times, you know. We used to say in Brazil that oh we get away with little Brazilian way, we're not gonna do this report here, but that's fine. I can find a little way to get out of it. But it doesn't work like that in a system that has a lot of processes and a lot of things to follow, a lot of rules to follow. We need to understand that being a part of that system, you have to do that. You have to take the right steps all the time in order to succeed here, in order to progress in your career. It's very different from being a grad assistant or be a first year club coach than being a head coach in a college program. You have to learn how to be disciplined, have to learn how to follow all the processes in order to get to that level. And my recommendation I every time someone asks me, "Oh, what do I need to do to go from Brazil to coach in the U.S.?" First of all, I have to speak the language. Of course, have to speak English.
Hmm.
Don't come here thinking that, oh, I understand a lot. A lot of people tell me, oh, I ask them, what's your English level? Oh, I'm intermediate. Every time they say the intermediate, I know they don't speak at all. It's very, very common to hear that. So first you have to speak the language. You have to be disciplined enough to learn and be ready to come here and speak their language, not your
Hmm.
language, or not sign languages or whatever. And second, you have to learn about the system. You have to learn about the processes and respect that, and be able to follow those rules. Otherwise, you're going to fall in your first experience here.
Hmm.
And all of those coaches that you said that are especially in the college level, the Brazilian coaches that are in the college level now are excellent people that learn how to follow those processes and be disciplined enough to succeed in that system. Have amazing coaches that have a lot of knowledge, but also people that understand that they have to adapt to the system here, not the opposite.
Very good. Yes, and that's true, and I agree with every word, especially with my experience as well. I want to go back to your career. So you started in a community college, then coached in Brazil, went back to the Division 1 world, then went to LMU, right? We're going to touch
Yeah.
on that a little later.
Yeah.
Also Division 1 beach,
hmm
and now you're back to a community college. So I
Yeah.
want you to kind of walk me through this experience of starting it small, because I also started in a 2-year school in Santa Monica College. So
Cool.
starting small, quote unquote, right? And then
hmm
going to the highest levels for Bakersfield, and then almost national champion, back to
hmm
the roots.
Yeah. So I think one common theme in all the programs that I worked was the high standard. no matter what division, what level we're playing,
Mm-hmm.
and we're working to the highest standard possible. So Nebraska was like that. We won a national championship there. We had really, really high standards. Then I moved to Bakersfield and I worked with Giovanna Mello, was the head coach in Nebraska, actually. And she invited me to go to Bakersfield with her. We
Mm-hmm.
kept the same thing, high standard, always striving to be the best possible. And then LMU, highest standard possible. Always the high, really, really high standard. And here I'm in a program that in 7 years of history has won 3 national championships and has one runner up. So made 4 national championship finals in 7 seasons. So high standard is the common theme for all of them. And one thing uh, that I've always been is a learner. So yeah, all of those people that were part of those programs were always wanting to learn. Okay, so Giovanna in Nebraska and Bakersfield, we in 10 years working together, we learned so much and we changed so much. And when I moved to LMU to work with John, you had an experience with him. John is the ultimate learner.
Yeah.
He is he's the guy that pushes you to he is a learner himself. He's always learning something new and always inspiring people around him to be learners as well. So I think the high standard only grows and only maintains and grows if you are a learner. So those are the common themes among all of those programs that I've been part of that worked in highest standard possible, regardless of the division and the level that we played.
Yeah.
So I think that's a common theme. And if eventually, I don't know where my future is going to be, but um, maybe if I go to a professional team, back to the Division One, or stay in the junior college level, I don't know. I'm always going to strive to be working at the highest standard possible.
Yeah. And one coach that really inspired me, I had a one-on-one conversation during COVID with him, is Alan Knipe. Before coaching
Amazing.
at Long Beach State, he coached at Orange Coast Community College.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me I treated it as a Division 1 program. And that's what I
Yeah.
said to my players. Like, this is a D1 program. He won a state
Mm-hmm.
championship and then moved. And it clicked for me as well. And everywhere I go, I try really hard to treat it the highest level possible. So it really resonates with me. And coaching in the extremely. Oh, just one word. John Mayer, who was the head coach at Loyola Marymount University, also coached at Santa Monica College. He was the head coach
Yeah.
there for like 8 years.
Exactly.
He
Mm-hmm.
won state, then he went to LMU. He's a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic guy. He played professionally in the AVP. He also has a podcast, Coach Your Brains Out, I believe.
Coach or Breza, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to hear more from what he has to say, you can listen to that too. Whoever is listening to this podcast right now. And I wanted to ask you, coaching in every program that you've been in such high standards, you mentioned the high standards. What does it look like, and how do you keep that high standards level year after year?
Learning. You're going to listen to me saying this word all the time. And learning, I think two things are super, super important, no matter where you are and no matter where you move. Is first learning, be a learner, be open to always update yourself in every aspect. And second, putting people first. So always, my philosophy is always put people in the first place. You can learn and be the best volleyball coach, know all the X's and O's of the game,
Mm-hmm.
know everything, the stats of the game. But if you don't care about people, then you're not going to accomplish anything. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So that phrase from Roosevelt is super, super important because once you understand the value of people and I understand that people have different backgrounds, that have different behaviors, and they do that for a reason. Then you can uh, shape them and lead them in the right way, and of course, uh, uh, teach them the game, teach them everything that you want in terms of playing volleyball, whatever sport that you coach.
Yeah, definitely. Put the person before the player. That's huge.
Oh, definitely, definitely, yeah, for sure.
That's very good. So, you know, I was wondering, now that you have so much experience in different states around the US, um, was there any, a hard moment in your career in the US that you learned from and you kind of turn it around to become better today?
Yeah, that's many, many roadblocks that were pretty important for me to shape who I am today. Uh, like being like my first year in Nebraska was pretty tough
Hmm.
to go through. Like I moved from, and I was 29 years old when I moved. Uh, Being away from family, from friends, moving from a 10 million people huge city to was really, really small town in the middle of Nebraska. It was tough. Like my social life was flipped around. It was hard to adopt. And then going to the Division 1 was pretty big leap for me and for all of our staff. Like to learn all all the work, all the process that we had to create in our program to become really good. Uh, and then my decision to leave Bakersfield was pretty tough as well. Was like I was head coach for 7 years. I was enjoying a lot of my work there in Bakersfield, but the conditions were not perfect. Well,
Hmm.
were not never be perfect, of course, never is, but it was not the condition that I envisioned for the program and for myself and my family. So deciding to go to LMU to become an assistant coach again was pretty tough decision, but it was one of the best things I did. And
Hmm.
then again, getting out of a program that made it to the national championship final in NCAA level, which is like very few people can do that, and going back to indoor, like moving across the country to a junior college, like that took me a lot of courage to
Definitely.
like yeah, it was a big change. So all of those inflection points that were super determined, like it was determining for my career and my personal life, were tough decisions that were pretty hard to make.
Hmm.
But all of them brought great things. I'm very glad I made all of those decisions. I don't regret any of them.
Very good. I'm very happy to hear that last sentence says it all. As long as you learn and you grow from any
Yeah.
experience, that's the best thing you can do.
Mhm.
Um, and then I want to also talk more about your philosophies. Is there any core belief in your like core philosophy that you coach today that you not necessarily had when you moved here or 10 years ago even,
Mhm.
that now you can't coach without?
Yeah. First is being a learner. First is always looking for new things in every way, not just volleyball methodology. Changed my methodology a few times and changed like some things that I did in the past I don't do anymore. Some
Hmm.
things I never imagined that I would have I would do, I'm doing, but always learning, always striving to be better, and always putting people first, like I said before. I think those are the things that became stronger in my philosophy. And one thing that I wish I would have done a little bit earlier was to be a little more intentional with that, a little more intentional with building relationships, with learning, a little more systematic in terms of learning, like I am today. Like today, I have a system for myself to learn and and become better. And the same thing with their personal relationships. Before it was a little more organic, a little more scattered.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little more systematic and a little more intentional. So those things are my core things that I do nowadays to be the best version of myself wherever I am.
Very good. You keep mentioning learning, and I totally agree. The moment you stop learning, you stop coaching, essentially, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
but was there any point early on in your career that you thought, I know everything coming from
Oh,
Brazil?
definitely. When I moved to Nebraska, I came from Brazil. I had pretty much 8 years of coaching experience already.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I'm the king here. I know everything. I've been coaching with good people. I have a lot of experience and played at a good level. I'm going to college in the United States. Come on. I know everything. I don't need to learn anything here. I'm going to teach people. And when I got there, I was like, that's not it. I realized pretty quickly that I had to have a different mindset in order to continue to work here.
Yeah.
And luckily I had great mentor. G was a phenomenal mentor for me, a great friend that guided me through those first steps. And until today, she's my biggest mentor, not only here, but in my life overall.
Awesome.
So we talk, we worked together for 10 years. We haven't worked together in 4 or 5 years, but we talk pretty much every week and we bounce off ideas of each other. We mentor each other,
Mhm.
she was a big mentor. Now I became a mentor for her as well. So that relationship with her is awesome. And I met people from Gold Medal Squared. Later on, I met John, people
Mhm.
from USA Volleyball. All of those people made me realize that I need to be a learner. I need to be humble enough to know that I don't know even near what I have to know to be a great coach.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to learn everything. I have to always continue to educate myself about all of those things. That is part of our profession.
Very good. And it's a reoccurring mistake that all coaches so far on this podcast said. I came
Mhm.
to the US knowing thought I know everything. Like I can't like learn anything new. I'm gonna teach. And that's the
Mhm.
first mistake and the first lesson that everybody has to learn. Not necessarily
Yeah.
because the US know better. It's just because you're coming to a new place. You have, as you said before, you have to respect the
Mhm.
processes, you have to respect the culture and understand and learn it in order to integrate. So
Definitely. Yeah.
thanks for
Definitely.
sharing that.
Yeah, no, of course.
Um, a little bit about you. Were you ever have you ever felt misunderstood because, of your background or accent or
Not really. No, no. I don't know if I was lucky or like well, I always had great people around me, but I've never felt that I was misunderstood or people had some kind of prejudice on me. No, luckily I never had that experience.
awesome. All right, next one.
Yeah.
Next question. Um, so yeah, I want to talk about what you do off the court. You're mentoring coaches. You do clinics
Mhm.
online, in person, helping Brazilian coaches, American coaches to be better. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so 9 years ago, had a friend who did coaching clinics for soccer coaches. And he went to college with me in Brazil, and he worked for a company that promoted those coaching clinics that were in person, 100% in person. And he told me that the company wanted to expand to other sports, and he introduced me to that company, and I started doing coaching clinics. So from 2016 to 2019, we did 4 in-person coaching clinics, always trying to bring the ideas that I learned here for Brazilian coaches. And I always invited other coaches as well to speak with me, not just me. And it we did was really cool, really, really. But it was once a year only. It was like a very sporadic thing. when I was in Brazil, I did that coaching clinic, but it was not something that I did on a consistent basis. And then pandemic hit.
Mhm.
So like, what do I do with this now? Either I stop doing it or I have to transition and pivot to everything online. So we did one with that same company online. It was a huge success. And during the pandemic, during the to 2020, we did many calls with coaches on Zoom, like coaching education. I was at home doing nothing. I was like, might as well learn, you know. And then I transformed my entire project to online. And then I broke up with that company and started doing everything myself. So from 2020 to this day, I do coaching education. I have an Instagram just devoted for that, and
What's the
have
handle? What Instagram so people can follow?
it's my name, my name and my nickname in the middle. It's Cesar Feijão Benatti.
Okay.
And I can send you later on so you can
Yes, so we
put it
can
on
put it
the
on the bio
description.
of
Yeah,
the description.
yeah.
So, sorry, continue.
Everything, yeah, everything is in Portuguese. Uh, I have online courses, do mentorships, or do a lot of different programs now to teach coaches how to use the methodology here, and not just here, but initially it was really, really based on the things that I learned here. But now with I expanded my knowledge, so it's kind of a general coaching education program. And then I started eventually last year, I started a podcast as well. So I have a podcast called Set Point Podcast that we talk about volleyball, that we invite people to chat about volleyball as well. It's pretty educational. So all of those things I started doing because I really love sharing knowledge, sharing my experience. Um, Learning as well. The podcast is pretty selfish that I want to learn. And it's something that John talks a lot about as well. That
Yeah.
he started his podcast through uh, as a selfish reason to learn. And it was the same with me. But things that create the side effects that that process created were way better than the initial proposition, you know?
Hmm.
Getting access to people that I never imagined to have access to learn so much, to inspiring people to go after more education. So this is a big part of my life that I don't know, eventually it's going to become the main part of my life.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, this every time you start a podcast, think about something you want to have some,
Mhm.
benefits from it. And me too, obviously with the connections and all. But I
Mhm.
think this podcast should be, that's the goal, a resource for international coaches,
Mhm.
not just in the
Yeah.
US, but outside the US to kind of learn, see your success story, other people's success story. And by the way, it's different sports. I know you and I both are volleyball, but I had soccer coaches, baseball coaches, basketball coaches. So
Mhm.
a lot to look forward to.
Mhm.
And you touched a little bit about set point. That was my next question. You want to elaborate a little bit, like what you guys doing exactly, you and Peter,
Mhm.
and how did it start, and what's the future looks like?
Yeah, Peter and I are great friends. We always talk to each other and like learn with each other. And one day I came up to him out of nowhere, said, "Man, we have to start a podcast because we exchanged so many ideas and both of us had online courses. He had his course, I had my course. I was like, what if we start a podcast? Like out of nowhere, out of nowhere."
Huh.
And then the idea kind of died out. And then 1 year later, out of nowhere, said, "Man, what about a podcast?" And it's like, yeah, sometimes we should do. I was like, let's do it right now. And then I set up a Zoom call with him. Boom, recorded the Zoom call, and okay, this is gonna be the first one.
Huh.
And we recorded just him and I, and started inviting people. People were started to watch and listen and say, "Hey, this is awesome. I really like the idea. I really like what you guys are doing." And now we're at 90 episodes. We
Very
are
cool.
we're this at the end of the year will be 90 programs.
That's very good.
So interviewed more than 70 different people. We did a few, just him and I. We did a few by ourselves, but we had many great coaches, mostly in Portuguese. We have a few in English, but it's mostly in Portuguese. And now we're part of a big YouTube channel that talks about volleyball in Brazil.
Hmm.
It's called Canal Ataque e Defesa, which is like attack and defense
Okay.
volleyball. And there we have a few projects together, not just the podcast, but courses, mentorships, and we're trying to climb the ladder.
That's very
It's
good.
awesome. I really love that. The idea is to learn and share knowledge, just like you're doing here.
Very good. Fantastic. Um, Caesar, you mentioned that Brazilian coaches who are moving to the US need definitely to learn how to learn, right? To be able
Yeah.
to be open-minded, think outside the box, and integrate to the culture. Was there anything else that if a young Brazilian coach is listening now that and wants to coach in the US and of course knows English in a level that he can transfer information, that once, let's say they have all those traits and they come here, what do they need to do or know that what is the first thing they need to do and learn?
First is to be curious, to be a lifelong learner. Always be ready to learn more, to be open-minded, to change routes, to be adaptable. Because being in a different country is you're gonna have to adapt to a lot of things you wanting or not. We had probably had to make many changes throughout our lives to adapt to the system here. And they are right. And we're the ones who have to adapt, and so be adaptable, be a learner is the first thing that I would tell them. So of course, speak the language, get to know people, reach out to me, reach out to you, go after information, know the system here, know how the market works and what routes you can explore to get some opportunities here. Um, go visit people, go uh, come to the US and come visit my gym, come visit your gym if you have the capability of letting people in. Go to Los Angeles and go visit John at LMU. Go learn
Mhm.
in person, go talk to people in person, see what they're doing, talk to them, get to know them, be curious about their lives, their philosophies, and all of that. And use the resources on the online resources. This podcast is a great resource. My podcast is a great resource. Online courses. If you go on YouTube, you can find many different things. If you go to goldmeadowsquare.com, you can spend, I don't know, 6 months just
Yeah.
watching different stuff about all of the X's and O's of the game and all of the philosophies and stuff. There's resources. We have plenty of resources nowadays online, and access to people is super way easier than it was in the past. Like you hop on Instagram and you contact someone. Uh, Probably not everyone will respond, but I will. You can, yeah, if people, I can make myself available to talk to people and guide them. I'd love to do that. So it's just where there's a will, there's a way, and you have to have the will. You have to have the initiative to start those contacts and make things happen.
Very good. And I love the current theme of this podcast, like keep learning, don't stop learning. It's so important. It's so true.
Yeah.
Um, Towards an end here, I always ask every coach, what's your on-court favorite drill?
Oh man, this is a tough question. I think every drill that has the three performance mechanisms: reading, making a decision, and executing the movement. Every drill that has those three components that make the athlete read, make the athlete make a decision, and make the athlete execute a movement, that would be a good drill. I would go. I'm not gonna say, oh, it's a wash table or ball setter, ball hitter. I don't know. All those drills are great, but you have to understand the principle first. Understand that volleyball is a visual motor sport, so you have to see, you have to make a decision and then you execute the movement. And
Hmm.
there's 100 million ways to play the game, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Do you have any funny story or memorable story in the US that you can share with us?
Oh man. I have one. If G watches this, she's gonna laugh. But my very first week in the United States, in Nebraska, we had a program that we had host families for each one of the players and coaches. We had a family that would be a host family, a second family for because we had a lot of international players and players from out of
Mhm.
state as well. So in preseason, we would have dinner in each one of their houses. So first week come there, my English was very, very broken. So I was eating sloppy joes, those sandwich like
The
ground
burgers.
beef, yeah, kind of burgers, yeah. And I saw a blue bottle that I thought was cheese. So I went there, put on my sandwich, and then went back to my table. And then G was like, "What is that on top of the sandwich?" I was like, "It's cheese." And she's like, "Cheese? I didn't see any cheese on the table." Uh, and she's like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, that blue bottle, it's cheese. It says cheese." And she's like, "That's butter." I was, "No, it says cheese." Then she got the bottle, showed me it was squeeze.
Squeeze.
So squeeze, so
Yeah,
squeeze
here we
to
go.
get the butter out of the bottle. So man, everybody laughs so much. And
Ay, ay.
my players from 16 years ago, if they run into me, they will tell me that story. They will remember that story.
The
But
squeeze.
man, the squeeze, yeah. But
Oh man.
man, I met so many great places, been to many like Hawaii many times.
Cool.
I went to I don't know 30 out of the 50 states here. Met so many great people along the way. But this little story is funny. It was
Yeah. That's
first week.
hysterical.
It
That's
was
really, really good. I mean, lucky it was butter and not, I don't know, like salt or something that you had to put in and then ruin your burgers. But that's good.
yeah.
Caesar, I want to finish with a speed round of
Okay.
questions. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you a question. You can answer in a word or two, maybe
Okay.
elaborate a little bit if you want. Sounds good?
Sounds good. All right.
All right, let's start. What's the easiest way to annoy you in practice?
To what? Sorry, I didn't
To
listen.
annoy you. Annoy.
Annoy me. Oh man. The easiest way to annoy me is to half-ass.
Very good. Toughest opponent you faced?
Can I say one for each school?
Sure.
Okay, so in Western Nebraska was, oh man, that's a tough one. It was probably CSI at College of Southern Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Then in Bakersfield, New Mexico State
Mm-hmm.
was a pain in a butt to play against them. They were part of the conference. Stanford when we played them and the NCAAs.
Mm-hmm.
And then LMU, TCU, UCLA, USC, all those guys were so tough to play against. And here, Florida Southwest, and definitely Miami-Dade.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Why definitely?
Because they are the best. They were the best team in the country this year for sure. And we played them 4 times and beat them once, and they beat
Okay.
us three
Did they
times.
win it all? Did they win the
They
national?
did. Yeah, they beat us in the national final.
Okay. What word players will use to describe you?
It's a tough one. I'd say a good leader.
Good. Seems like a learner would be appropriate for
Learner,
this
yeah,
one.
learner would be a good one.
A
Yeah.
good leader is definitely great. What's the hardest English word to pronounce?
Uh, uh, oh man, I had that one. I talked about it the other day. Trajectory.
Trajectory, definitely.
Trajectory. It's I always struggle to talk when I'm talking about like routes and
The
the
trajectory of the
hitting
ball.
tennis, a
Yeah,
trajectory of the ball. For me, I struggle.
definitely.
Mm.
What's the worst part of American volleyball culture?
That's too short. The seasons are too short.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's not year round like the rest of the world. It's
Yeah.
4 months.
Mhm.
Couple more. If you weren't a coach, what would you be?
Well, I consider myself a teacher, so I wouldn't be a teacher because I am a teacher already. My degree is in teaching. I would be probably someone on the corporate world, a manager or director or something on the corporate world.
Okay. Um, Representing Brazil or the United States if you had a chance as a coach?
Brazil.
Brazil.
I had the privilege to represent USA, but it's still my dream to represent Brazil as the national team coach.
Very good. Beach or indoor?
Indoor. 51-49, but indoor.
Nice. One coach you follow because they make you better.
John Mayer,
Awesome. What's louder, a Brazilian gym or an American college gym?
Brazilian gym.
And the last question, who's the better half, you or Peter?
Definitely Peter. He is way better than me. I learned with him a lot, but I think we complement each other very well.
That's very good. And the name of the podcast is Set Point again.
Set Point Podcast is on YouTube on for English speakers, it's on YouTube, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Okay, very good. Awesome, man. Well, look, Caesar, that has been a pleasure. I have to say that you're one of the people who helped me putting this together and inspired me and gave me some good tips through John Mayer, who I called as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And I appreciate that, Caesar. And thank you for being one of my first guests on the podcast. It was very, very fascinating. I didn't know what to expect going into this conversation, but I
Mhm.
definitely come out with way more knowledge, inspired. Man, I'm gonna go start my day having a really good day because of you, and I'm gonna learn
That's
something
awesome.
new. I'm gonna definitely learn something new, trying to learn every day, but man, hearing that this is the core, the pillar of your philosophy, that's something that is really, really cool and really inspiring. Is there anything else that you wanted to say or add?
No, I just thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for doing this for the community, for the coaching community, international coaching community, which is awesome. Sometimes we feel lost, we feel alone. And if we have those kind of projects out there that is like true honest intention of sharing knowledge and inspiring people, I think we will become better every day. So I'm pretty big fan of the show already. And
Awesome.
thank you for inviting me. And thanks for having this initiative of starting this kind of program. And I wish you the best. I will be following the program along and hoping that it grows forever.
I appreciate that. By the way, first of all, I'll see you in the convention next week. And
Definitely.
in the convention on Friday, December 19th, I'm going to have this podcast live
I would love
on
to
stage. So you're
watch it.
welcome to come watch and I'll see you there. And again, thank you very much for this interview.
Awesome. Awesome. Good luck with the project and hope to see you in person soon.
Thank you for listening to another episode of International Coaches Club. Today was with Caesar. I have to say, this was one of the best episodes I recorded so far. And I love the theme around it, right? The theme around it was keep learning, keep thinking outside the box. Don't think you know it all and learn. And everything we talked about was about going back and learning and gaining experience whether you're a coach or a player, or you're moving from the US to Brazil or Brazil to the US, anywhere around the world, just keep learning, keep getting better. That's the thing that is behind his coaching philosophy, and I'm sure he implements that in his life as well, outside of coaching, which sounds amazing, and he really inspired me. This is a thing that I write in my book. Again, Don't Coach Like Me. The moment you stop learning, you stop coaching. This is one of my chapters, and it explains how much you need to learn alongside your team, alongside your players, in order to be a better coach and to gain success and to continue building programs in the long run. If you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please be with us in the next episode of International Coaches Club. And don't forget to look at the description for the links for the podcast as well as my book. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.